Well, welcome to City Lights, everybody. My name is Peter, and for those of you online, welcome to you too. As always, we are beaming to you from the unceded ancestral homeland of the Ramaytush peoples. Just want to take a moment to offer our respects to those who have come before us as stewards of the land. Tonight's event is being brought to you by the Undisciplining the Fields program and the Poetry Center at San Francisco State University. We are delighted and deeply honored to have with us Harryette Mullen, someone we have a great deal of respect for here at City Lights. We're celebrating the publication of her new collection. It is called Regaining Unconsciousness and is published by our dearly beloved friends over at the Graywolf Press. Harryette Mullen is one of our country's most influential voices in contemporary poetry and the world of letters. Her inventive play with language, her subtle and keen wit, her innovative formal experimentations, and her critique of American culture offers us a voice of insight and reason in a time of instability in an increasingly unpredictable world. Regaining Unconsciousness is Ms. Mullen's first new collection in 12 years and is an event in and of itself. It is 11 sections. Ms. Mullen confronts the imminent dangers of our present moment, resounding an alarm and shaking us out of despondency. The poems in this collection radiate a kind of a transformative power and emotional depth, and they arrive to us at a much needed time in our moment of crisis. Harryette Mullen is the author of 8 books of poetry. These include Urban Tumbleweed, The Recyclopedia, and Sleeping with the Dictionary, which was a finalist for the New York National Book Award, the National Book Critics Circle Award, and the Los Angeles Times Book Prize. She is a professor of English and African American Studies at the University of California in Los Angeles. And joining her tonight in conversation is going to be Tonya M. Foster, who is, of course, no stranger to City Lights. We've had great pleasure of working with her in the past. Ms. Foster is the author of A Swarm of Bees in High Court and is also is the George and Judy Marcus Endowed Chair in Poetry at San Francisco State. She developed and curates the Undisciplining the Fields series at San Francisco State. So we're going to be making a little bit of time for a Q&A at the end of the discussion. I do ask that you wait till I come to you with the microphone. Otherwise, our dear friends online are not going to be able to hear your questions. And for those of you online, post your questions in the chat function of your Zoom dashboard. We're also going to be posting links in this chat with which you may purchase tonight's title, amongst others. And there are copies at the front counter. We ask you to please check them out later. And what we're going to do for the signing at the end, we're going to try to get everyone over to the left side of the room. So please join us now in offering a warm welcome to Harryette Mullen and Tonya M. Foster. It is such an honor. Would you like to read from the lectern, or should I bring you the mic?
Get it.
Thank you.
But there's this wonderful, very short essay at the beginning in which Harryette, actually, let me say thank you to Peter and City Lights first. It's really wonderful to be here. Thank you to Harryette for being here. We've had fun over the last 5 days. What's cool is I'm from New Orleans, so it's really a relief to hang with somebody who can enjoy a good meal. And that's not sour. And someone who has a kind of wicked sense of humor, and understands that we probably have to laugh to keep from dying. This book, and I want to read this passage in part because I've been thinking a lot about the ways that, I don't know, we don't make this work alone, that we're always in community and in conversation. And we actually just went to MoMA and saw The Visitors, an installation that I love that's very much about isolation, formation, and making. So in many of the, or several of the people mentioned in this intro are in the audience, which is also really kind of lovely. And I'm going to try to read it, even though my glasses are funky. Maybe I just have to take them off. So, Recyclopedia. collects 3 books published originally with very small independent presses that reflect the eclectic interests of their poet founders. I am grateful to Leanne Brown, whose Tender Button books brought out trimmings in 1991, and to Julia Blumenreich and the late Gil Ott, whose Singing Horse Press published Sperm Kit or Sperm Kit or Supermarket in 1992, and Muse and Drudge in 1995. Harryette writes, I met Leanne when I read in the Segway Poetry Series at the Ear Inn in Manhattan during my first year of teaching at Cornell. Our meeting seemed inevitable. Leanne already knew that I was writing poems that talked back to Gertrude Stein's Tender Buttons. I had recently acquired one of the first Tender Buttons. One of the first Tender Buttons books Leanne had published, Bernadette Mayer's Sonnets. Leanne is still publishing Tender Buttons Press, a graduate student at Brown University, no relation, when she started Tender Buttons Books, adopting a logo designed by Joe Brainerd. She had heard of trimmings from Roberto Bedoya, wave your hand, Roberto, who had invited me to read at Valentia Rose in San Francisco when I was studying at University of California, Santa Cruz, where writers Nathaniel Mackey, Al Young, Michelle Cliff, and Lucille Clifton were teaching. And fellow student writers included Gloria Watkins, aka Bell Hooks, Alfred Artiega, Alba Sanchez, Ken Weisner, Elizabeth Horan, Diane Rayor, and Lorna de Cervantes. After graduating from UT Austin, teaching at Austin Community College, working as a poet in the Artists in the Schools program, and spending a year writing poems and stories on the Dobie Ranch in Texas and at the Wurlitzer Foundation in New Mexico, I had enrolled in a graduate program in literature with the idea of teaching at a university while continuing to write poetry. It went well, didn't it? Going to school in Northern California introduced me to the diverse poetry communities of the Bay Area. Later, I became acquainted with many writers and artists on the East Coast when I moved to Ithaca to teach at Cornell. And she goes on in this to map collaborations, connections that fed the work, that grew the work. And I wanted to kind of start there before I turn things over to Harryette to read from I had also asked that she read any lit, but I think I'll wait to the end, which is from Sleeping with the Dictionary. And the wonderful thing about any lit, which you can find on the poem online, it's an astonishing poem because it seems to me, I know you don't believe me, but what's astonishing about it is how the details and the music create a world that cannot exist otherwise, right? And that there's something in what you do that, I mean, I think of a couple of things. One, I heard a guy on some NPR show saying the grandchildren of those who live now will no longer read in order to learn stuff. They'll look at videos and AI will tell them. And I thought, God, there's no poem that's possible if they cannot read or if they are not reading. And there's something about this new book in particular that looks at all the things that AI points us to, and yet is very literary and steeped in the literary and the sense of time that the literary demands, creates, a time that is not factory time.
Mhm.
but that is something else.
Mhm.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
But
Well, right now I'm thinking that a name that could have been in that list, someone who's here, Susan Converts, was also at Santa Cruz in that time.
Mhm.
You know, I think I was naming people who were, we used to have this monthly brunch and read whatever little poems we might have written in between going to school. So, yeah,
Well, it's amazing to think of. I mean, you say whatever little poems, and yet I think Bell Hooks
yeah.
was hanging out there.
Also a poet.
Nathaniel Lemon
Hmm.
was hanging out
He signed
there.
my dissertation.
But that those little poems were also steeped in those conversations about theory, about philosophy, about the literary, about how we be
Hmm.
in these spaces together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So you said I could start by reading Weathering Hate and Colorless Screen Ideas.
Mhm.
Okay, so I think I will stand
Okay.
at the lectern
And also, I hope as I wandered lonely in the
in the
cloud.
cloud. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. All right. There are extra chairs up here. There's two over here and three over here. People want to sit. Okay, so I will start with Weathering Hate. This poem is online. It's on the Poem a Day for the Academy of American Poets. I'm, I'm Weathering Hate. The way, exposed to weather, a body is worn. Velvet threads begin to wither, rapid, ripened beyond the burst, bloom. Vibrant strands cut short, then fray, unweaving faded fabric, sunstruck, rain warped, storm blasted, rough sanded in whipping wind that whittles rock, small torturous fractures opened in stone where water freezes in the pores with grains of salt, cracks in the surface pried apart by unrelenting pressure, with incessant freezing and thawing, shock and fatigue, speed rugged stress to ultimate breakdown, intemperate weather, abrading edges, gradually disintegrates resolute minerals. A boulder, even a mountain, will wear down. So will bodies, bent and broken under toilsome burdens, caving beneath unbearable weight in adverse climate, exposed to harsh elements, caustic rains. I'm going to need to look at your list. So you wanted me to read As I Wander Lonely in the Cloud. As I wander lonely in the cloud. Let's see. Yes. That might sound a bit familiar. Smart machines, armed with proprietary algorithms, remain attentive to my wishes. They use a little known, mysterious mental faculty to anticipate my urges. Ingenious applications of intelligence solve the problem of desire. By now, their ability seems less arcane, considering how my aspirations may be formulated to coincide with goods and services of marketers whose product lines cohabit in the cloud with the history of all my searches as I browse, added to the sum of my mediated sociality. The cloud's vast, expanding, and indefinite memory stores all the information I create in my interlinked communications, including what I'm writing to you now. As on my couch, I multitask in pensive mood, opening my mail to find a discount coupon reminding me that nothing says spring like daffodils. And you mentioned colorless green ideas, colorless green ideas. Yes, yes. Okay. So, yeah, this is a tribute to Berta Mae Grosvenor. I mean, in part, it is that. And I guess Noam Chomsky. Colorless green ideas. Whose idea was it to eat raw kale? Should we blame the author of Vibration Cooking for unveiling naked greens? When another shopper at the produce market asked, pointing to her basket of collards, "How do you people prepare them?" Vertimer replied with a dash of spiteful mischief, "Salad. We make salad." Let's say that woman's family praised the collard green coleslaw she improvised. Then she went on to create turnip leaf salad, tossed with pomegranate vinaigrette, mustard green Caesar with gluten-free croutons, and a heart-healthy bowl of gently massaged dinosaur kale, Tuscany's black cabbage. Of course, our early human ancestors, foragers following in the tracks of grazing animals, might have nibbled uncooked kale. Who knows how long it took to develop the recipe for a mess of greens, well seasoned, simmered with a streak of fat and lean. Then again, who knows what humanity might be if Eve and Adam had spared the fleshy fruit, plucking only fresh green leaves from the tree of knowledge. What if the vegan Cain had never slain his carnivore brother Abel? Okay, so are we going to talk a little bit more before I read more poems? Okay, that's good. Some thoughts.
I don't know that I have any thoughts, except I wanted, this really made me one of the poems I learned as a kid was that Wordsworth poem, I wander lonely as a cloud. And so I thought I would read the poem to you, and I was thinking about how in your work, there's the reference to the literary, but there's also the reference to the world, the sort of various cultures, the objects of the world. And that I don't know, just thought it might be interesting to hear the Wordsworth next to Harriet's As I Wander Lonely in the Cloud.
Like people do with Sonnet 130. Mm-hmm.
Yes. I wandered lonely as a cloud. And actually, there's someone reading it here, but I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high o'er vales and hills, when all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils, beside the lake, beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. Continuous as the stars that shine and twinkle on the Milky Way, they stretched in never-ending line along the margin of a bay. 10,000 saw I at a glance, tossing their heads in sprightly dance. The waves beside them danced, but they outdid the sparkling waves in glee. A poet could not but be gay in such a jocund company. I gazed and gazed, but little thought what wealth the show to me had brought. For oft when on my couch I lie, in vacant or in pensive mood. They flash upon that inward eye, which is the bliss of solitude. And then my heart with pleasure fills and dances with the daffodils.
So we end on the same word.
Yes, you do end on the same word. And what happens to your cloud? How does your cloud compare to his cloud?
He didn't mention the inward eye, which nowadays it's the outward eye, I guess. It's the big brother surveilling you eye.
That's true. It's a big brother surveilling you and telling you who you are so you can purchase what he tells you will make you you
Mhm.
according to your desires. Like you map out this kind of recursive thing. You're typing in something, he's reading it and selling you something according to what you've typed in.
Yeah. And I think my retired UCLA colleague Anne Malore and others have pointed out that that poem is based on the journal of her sister. And she was the one who actually kind
Was
of
the creative brilliant?
had the, she had this, you know, inspiration from a walk that they had taken together. And he kind of, I think, had forgotten all about it until he was reading through her journal and said, "Oh, that would be a good poem." Something like that.
Wow. Does that make any
Ah. Hmm. I mean,
Yeah,
I think that appropriation has always been there, because who owns what anyway?
right.
But it's getting harder and harder to say that this is mine because I made it.
Yes,
It has my name on it.
it does. And your cup,
Yeah, and I'm digesting Wordsworth and he was digesting Dorothy and
right?
you know, beat goes on, la di da di dee.
Saying like, I love solve the problem of desire, right?
As if.
As if that's for me the question through this. How does one solve or contend with the questions of desire?
They'll tell you what you want and then sell it to you.
And tell you what you want.
Hmm.
How are you? You had a in class the other day. You were talking about your thoughts about AI, and then how do you use it? And I guess I'm thinking about
I
this.
don't use it.
Well, I
And
know.
I try to keep it from using me,
Yeah,
but we don't have much control over that.
we do. Although you don't have a smartphone, so
No,
you're probably better than many of us.
I do have a laptop, but
Yeah,
I'm trying to resist every technological leap that we have to just buy the new thing just because it's there
right.
and buy a new phone every year because oh now I want a pink one.
It's true. And the pink ones are nice.
Uh-huh.
Um, but it's funny. I wonder how in the poetry these things appear. Right? When I was thinking about it in lit, part of what's so compelling to me is this like collection of, and in this collection as well, is the collection of things that populate the world, but the things are not necessarily, the correspondences aren't linear. They may be sonic, they may be almost, I don't know, suggested, possible, right?
Mhm.
And so the poems move in this way that is not about a linear narrative line, but actually about an associative line
Mhm.
and a musical one that comes out of the association.
I
And
hope so. Yeah, that's my way of making music because I cannot sing to save my soul.
you can sing
I can
off
sing, but
key.
nobody wants to hear it.
You
I sing off key, yeah.
can sing off key. That'll
Mhm.
save your soul, right?
It's okay, baby. Go ahead and sing your song. Sing your song, baby. They encouraged me, back then. And
That's right. I mean, even if it's a pitiful song, I mean, this, or, you know, a little song,
Hmm.
there's some. One question I have that I still don't have an answer to, we have responses to. What's up with the title?
The title of this book,
Regaining
it was the best
Unconsciousness.
of several that I had
Really?
imagined. Yeah, it was the best one. My editor agreed also. You know, I gave him the possibilities. And I
Mhm.
said, I think this is the one. He said, yeah, that's the one. So I like it because people, I like it when, I don't know why I like this, but when people actually can't remember my titles because they're thinking of something else. So they were thinking regaining consciousness, right?
Right.
You know, or they were thinking some other title I had, and oh yeah, wipe that simile off your aphasia. You know, they're thinking the other thing
Right.
that it's built on.
Mhm.
So I like building on something that people have heard before, said before, know they already know it, but then they stumble because they think they already know it. And it's a little different.
Mhm.
But regaining unconsciousness, I was wondering about the layers of this book because titles for me, a title of a book comes late.
Mhm.
Sometimes the title of a poem comes early, like a lot of times I get the title before I get the poem.
Right.
Leopard coat, spotted and polka dance. That
Yes.
was the title, and I had to write the poem for the title. But for books, I have to have the poems to know, well, what am I doing in this book? Where is this book going? What is it supposed to be doing?
Right.
And the title helps me kind of focus at a certain point when I have enough poems.
Mhm.
Then I need a title to guide me to the safely to the finish line. And for this one, I said, oh, there's something here about waking and sleeping. That helped me organize the first section. The first section is um, sleeping, dreaming, waking, iterations on that. And then some of that comes back in later poems. Like there's this dreaming mermaid, and
Mhm.
there's somebody sleeping somewhere. Anyway, the idea of sleeping and dreaming is very important to me because that's where a lot of poems come from. Like we were talking over dinner, like sometimes these iambic pentameter lines come to me when I wake up.
And some of them are stunning. I mean, the line you were telling me over dinner.
Uh-huh.
Will you share that?
Okay, these are from poems that I'm writing now. So these are poems influenced by William Blake. So poems, songs of innocence and experience. I'm writing using Blake as my muse, right? Okay, and he was very concerned with things that are that were happening then that are still happening now, like children being exploited and
Mhm.
poor people being, you know, just treated like garbage, and you know, people being driven to desperate measures. So that's what that book is about. Although when I first read it as a young person, I thought, well, this is a children's book. And but it's not a children's book, and it's full of just harrowing situations that children are in. So anyway, so lambs and wolves, you
Mhm.
know, are in his imagery. So one of the lines I woke up with was, "Can blades of grass defend a meadow? Can blades of grass defend a meadow?" And then another line that I woke up with was, "My teeth were made to tear your tender flesh." So, you know, these I trying to have these dialogues between lambs and wolves. And then I got to think about the lion and a lion tamer. There may be a lion tamer somewhere in there. So, but yeah, sometimes these lines, I wake up with a line,
Mhm.
and sometimes they're in iambic pentameter. Can you all hear us on these microphones?
It's me.
Oh,
I've got
okay.
to because I don't like the mic.
Uh, be like Mike.
Be like or like the mic.
Uh, so what?
You know, no, those lines are really interesting, and I think about the how steeped in the literary and the contemporary experience so that it becomes this space. Like if I think about regaining unconsciousness,
Mm-hmm.
right? Part of what I love is the puzzle of it,
Yeah.
but also
Is that a
what
good
is the,
thing or not a good
or
thing? Which is
is it?
better, conscious or unconscious? Well, the thing is, we're both. We can't be just one. We have to be
Yeah.
both because we have to
And it's
sleep
shifting.
sometime, right?
Well, and it's shifting.
Mm-hmm.
What's the nature of the unconscious? What comes into consciousness
Mm.
shifts,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And because it's a migrating and mutating situation,
Yeah.
that the poems somehow make space for that kind of movement and motion. And that idea of regaining unconsciousness, what surfaces again. I mean, it's interesting. I didn't realize that the new work you're doing is tied to Blake's Songs of Innocence, Songs of Experience.
Mm-hmm.
That makes, for me, that makes regaining unconsciousness make even more sense.
Hmm.
I mean,
I actually started that before this, and then I put it aside, and I
wow,
got just recently come back to it.
wow.
So yeah, it's kind of embracing this book in a way.
Yeah, I mean, certainly. And then there's a, what is it? Infant sorrow, infant joy, which
Yeah.
I think of as, those companion poems.
Mm-hmm.
That is, on the one hand, the child from the outside perspective, and then the experience of the child, which is one of enormous sorrow.
Yeah.
And it's also what is sort of the parent is unaware of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, and the child is unable to articulate it.
Yeah.
So it then lives in the unconscious. But interesting. I didn't know that. You didn't mention that at dinner.
Oh.
there was a there was another line, and I'm trying to remember that uh, the first line, but I told you my brain's a sieve,
Mm-hmm.
so I won't remember that. But I will ask you to read the polka dot poem.
Oh yeah. Leopard coat spotted
Yes.
at polka dance. That was one I woke up with. And then I wrote, because I keep lists of these things when they pop into my head when I wake up and I write them down. I think, "Oh, I hope I can write something for that someday. And it may be a line of a poem or it may be a title of a poem. But yeah, okay. Did you have that on your list or not?
I did not put that on my
Okay, can you
list.
tell me what page it's
Yes, I
on? Because I'm forgetting what's where.
can also do it on the machine.
Hmm.
Okay.
Leopard coat. Well, while you're looking for that, let me read Never Touch the Hair of a Goddess. Okay, while you look for the leopard, okay?
Okay, that's page 39. I
Okay,
got
good.
it.
I'll read it next. Okay, so this is Never Touch the Hair of a Goddess. And I have a little epigraph from Toni Morrison. The earth, wait a minute, I need my light. Say, come on. Any kind of half light, I'm having trouble reading. Okay, so let's see. The earth itself might have been unyielding. That's Toni Morrison. That's from The Blue Sky. Because you know, those, what were they planting? Marigolds they were planting wouldn't grow. Though in your dreams you might caress the face of a distant moon, mingle with stars, chase a brilliant comet in a celestial circuit far from carnal desire, this is not for you. Suppose you tried to stroke furious fire, as if a human grasp might handle Gaia's flowing mantle, finger comb her radiant glory. Your will would swiftly wilt as you approached the blazing truth. This is not for you. Sooner tame a flashing comet's streaming locks light years away than stoop to gather jet black tears and loosen threads the goddess Pella sheds, elemental ornaments of frozen time, indifferent to supplicating gesture. When folly leads to certain danger, simply admit this is not for you. Imagine your fingers entwined with gorgeous filaments forged in flame, dazzling strands of lustrous wire that slice and burn. Turn away to save yourself. This is not for you. Okay. So you say the leopard is on 49, 39. Let me find 39, 39. Okay. 49. Can I see? Okay. So this may have been a little bit influenced by Blake, the tiger and the lions and all those animals that he has wolves, tigers, lions, and they are more civilized than the people, you know. Okay. Can I do that? Leopard coat spotted at polka dance. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Your name may appear on the red list, but no one surpasses your style. They awkwardly envy your muscular body moving with fluent grace. They nakedly covet your dappled mantle of sunlight and shade, brilliant camouflage of dark rosettes adorning opulent fur. Wherever your feet happen to land, you were always the impeccable cat, though there were places you wouldn't be caught alive. Ever since leopard skins have been popular in fashion, your back has been a target. Exotic hide, commodified, fierce elegance tamed and claimed as sleek chic. On the hunt for your pelt, the ones who shoot you down don't change their dirty linen. As for you, your glamour's too remarkable to hide. Uniquely stamped, you are stately in your realm, magnificent leopard, resplendent in your skin.
I mean, I'm really immediately, I guess, in hearing this, of course, I go back to weathering hate,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the way the targets are throughout this. But then I also go to the Wordsworth, and I think, what's the nature of nature that Wordsworth points to?
Mm-hmm.
And then what's the nature of the nature that you're busy exploring in this work?
Mm-hmm.
And that often it's ideas of human nature and in an interaction. Um,
It's us separating ourselves from the rest of nature
yes,
because for us, nature has been like a shopping mall.
yeah,
And we just go get stuff that we need or want from nature and feel like, okay, they'll just restock the shelves. And I'll come back next week when everything's on sale.
if we're not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, yes. Can you say more about this? I mean, I'm also thinking about what is it? You use the term weathering, and that has very sort of particular, it's a very particular reference.
I said I'm always interested when scientists use metaphor.
Mhm.
So this is a metaphor that's used um, in Arlene Geronimo's book. It's called Weathering. She's talk about I can't remember the exact subtitle, but in an unjust society, how your health is threatened in an unjust society because you are being subjected to um, stress, pain, illness. Like I just, somebody was asking me something about freedom in an interview, and I said, well, we're free to be ignorant, poor, homeless, malnourished, and infected with preventable diseases. That's our freedom. So I'm thinking about how are we going to solve this global problem? When we can't even get along with person next door, who has a
Mhm.
different, who voted for somebody else, right?
Right.
So I just hope we can get it together before it's the end, and it's too late to get it together. But these are the things that drove this book, the weather,
Right.
because if you dump waste, where poor people live, and you think, oh, I don't have to worry about that because that's on them. That's how the world just becomes the big, sewer.
Mhm.
So that's what we're turning this planet into, like the big sewer, where we just dump our stuff out there, belch it out, poop it out,
Right.
fart it out. It's just like nature is there to just receive. We take something good and we put back waste and pollution. So,
And it's something, the idea that it actually doesn't circulate,
right.
right? We act as though um, the shit that's over there stays over there when actually the waterways
Yep.
are within a or in a circulatory
Everything is
system.
circulating.
Right.
So, and I don't know why we haven't figured that out yet. Well, some people do know that, and some people know it and don't care. They go on as if,
Well, they'll be dead.
well, they'll be dead or,
Or they can live on the nice little island.
yeah, they're buying islands.
They're buying
They're buying
islands.
their own private islands
And feel
that they can escape to in their little space capsules. So they could be like, up there orbiting the Earth with Wally will be, serving them. I don't know.
I wonder if we could help them build the space capsules, encourage an earlier liftoff.
I said, Elon, go ahead to Mars and don't come back.
I didn't name anybody.
Oh, I did. He's the one that wants to go. Let him go. Go on.
Uh, so, what about this book? Because I think there's something in this kind of in this wandering discussion for me about that idea of weathering, a kind of attention to a broader ecology of what it is to live this time.
Mm-hmm.
That there's an attention to the, the material of the past, but also to the material occupying us right
Yeah.
now,
All the plastic in our bodies.
the plastic in our bodies and in our thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah. So don't we have like a whole credit card worth of plastic? Which is
uh,
appropriate, right, to measure it by a credit card.
measure it by a credit card.
And I don't
We,
know if that's the whole body or just what's in our brains, the credit card.
it's,
Is that the whole body that has a
I don't
credit card
know.
worth of plastic? Or
I
is it
don't know.
that much in your brain?
I don't
It's probably
know.
the
I
whole
feel
body.
like it's my brain
Yeah.
that has a credit card worth of plastic. That's why it's acting like a sieve. You know. What I wonder about, and how did you compose this book? And I mean,
Yeah.
it's
I mean, how
organized
did
in
I
these
try to put it in
sections,
these sections? Okay, so my
right?
my editor at Graywolf Press, Jeff Shot Shots, Shotts. Okay, so I was grappling with it. I said, I have this kind of monster book, manuscript here that I'm trying to figure out how am I going to turn it into something that's readable, comprehensible text for readers.
Right.
And he suggested sections. I don't think he, he knew it was going to be 11
Hmm.
sections. At a certain point when I had going on 100 poems. So I said, okay, I can write 100 poems and it'll be like 10 poems per section, 10 sections. That would be very neat. Sometimes I get into these things with numbers like,
Hmm.
Urban Tumbleweed had 80
Hmm.
pages, and on each page there's four of these. Or three, no, I remember that three,
Numbers are
it was
fun.
threes. Okay, so Musing George was fours,
Hmm.
Urban Tumbleweed was threes. Anyway, so it turned out to be 111 poems, and I ended up being 11 sections. I looked up those numbers, on the internet, and some numerologist says these are magical numbers. But then when I looked up other numbers, they're all magical numbers. Any number you look up is a magical number for one reason or another.
That's why we love numbers.
Yes, yes. But I like the idea. Okay, 11 and
Mhm.
111, and yeah. So because he said, you can have these sections, and they don't have to be neat compartments, and you can have thoughts, ideas, images that kind of repeat from one section to another. Sections can recall other sections. So once I was liberated to just kind of arbitrarily figure out what I thought these, and I would look for a poem that I thought had a title that would kind of be related to several things that are going on in each section. Like colorless green ideas is a section, and chilling effect is a section. So, I mean, it was very intuitive, but at least having this idea that there will be sections, there could be as many as 10 or even 11 sections. And then I was trying to put 10 poems in each section, but some of them have 8 and some have 9, some have 10 and some have 11. So it worked out in a sort of messy way. But the fact that that they have these titles makes it look like I'm very on top of the thing because it looks like I know what I'm doing. And, I kind of allowed myself to go into almost a little trance. I had this big table, and I had my numbers, and I had my stacks, and I moved them around a little bit. They weren't always in this order.
Right.
The poems or the sections
Mhm.
got moved around quite a bit. So there's some housekeeping that went on. But I was trying to make the book seem like it had a purpose, and it had not an argument or a narrative, but yeah, a purpose. Um, I had an urgent need to write these poems because I'm really perplexed and trying not to be depressed. I mean, these poems are trying not to be depressed. Have you noticed they're trying not to be depressed?
Laughing to keep from dying. I
Yeah.
mean, that's, yeah.
So I wanted to be able, they even played music on the Titanic as it was sinking, right?
Yeah,
So sometimes that's all you have.
it is. And there was some line about how you have to move. And it was on, I actually took a picture of this. We were in the museum and it was about movement as someone who's begun taking line dancing. Because I feel like I have to move, otherwise I'm caught in the static nature of the sort of crap of what is. So I actually have to move my body. Um, that that sense that there is in these poems a movement in thinking, movement in images, movement in terms of the music, that's an assertion of aliveness.
Yeah, I'm alive
Anyway,
for now, and I'm celebrating that I'm still alive. And I don't know how long I have. I don't know how long we have. I don't know how long the planet has.
until 92, at
Yeah.
least.
Oh, well, when I'm calculating, they have these retirement calculators, and I'm calculating 95, optimistically
Right.
95. Yeah.
We should hear you read. I'm gonna go sit over there.
Wait, no, there's more conversation, isn't there? You had
There,
more questions.
we can
What do you want
talk
me to
about
read?
this. I want you to read your poem.
I can read
I'm July,
Hotter
which
Than
I think
July.
is fantastic.
Okay, I stole that title from Stevie Wonder.
We should all know titles from Stevie Wonder every day.
Yeah, somebody was talking to me. She's a poet, and I met up in Canada, and she was saying she has all these untitled poems. I said, well, how will people find them if they don't have a title? They need a name. And I said, who really has great titles? Jazz musicians have such great titles.
It's true.
And so sometimes when I'm feeling like I don't know what to call a poem, sometimes I just to look at their titles and maybe steal one or just think, oh. I could get inspired, you know. Like what was that, Charles Mingus? All the things you could be if your if
If
your
your mother
wife's mother was Sigmund
Sigmund
Freud,
Freud,
if your wife was something.
something
Anyway,
like
and
that.
Hortense Spillers
And
also
Hortense
used
Spillers.
it. See, so a title can just pass from one person to another because you can't copyright a title. There, you can't copyright a title, so you can always borrow, steal, appropriate the title, and it's legal. It's legal to do that. Okay, so here is hotter than July. Oh my goodness.
And you have it. The,
Yeah, I'm gonna turn on my little mini flashlight.
I can also turn this on and hold it.
Oh, can you hold this mic for me?
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of how put it close to my mouth. Yes. Can y'all hear? Okay. This is hotter than July. A month of picnics, drive-throughs, and cookouts. For breakfast, free range eggs fried sunny side up on the hood of a gas burning car. At noon, fish poached in lily ponds. No one goes barefoot when souls burn on pavement like tender brats grilled over red hot coals. As you plan your last meal, chunks of ancient glaciers are ice cubes melting in a bowl of steaming broth. If in a season of superlatives you survive the hottest month on record, in the hottest summer of the hottest year, in the hottest decade ever, you'll want a cold shower and a sip of chilled champagne. So, yeah, that's laughing to keep from dying.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know why my brain does that, but it does.
You don't know why you don't know why your brain does what.
I mean, here we are facing extinction, and that's what I wrote. Okay. Yeah, my brain does that.
Well, I don't know. Like I think about what are the rhymes we like, at least as a kid, we like sang these bloody nursery
Oh, yeah.
rhymes, right? And jumped rope to, I don't know, if you sat and thought about the rhymes and hand games,
Yeah.
like deeply dark, but we were having a blast
Yeah. Mother
anyway.
Goose rhymes there, but talking about, beheading people and
Yes.
yeah, stuff like that.
You
Mm.
know, this is a weird connection, but I keep picturing this moment in Beloved where Sixto is about to die, but he knows that Setha has escaped and is pregnant, and he's crazy and he's yelling, 7-0, 7-0,
Mm.
7-0.
Yeah.
And there's something in that, like idea of, I don't know how, what will continue, but this breath is out there. It continues. And so I say that. And that's I don't know. That's it.
Yeah.
That's what we have.
Yeah. I was going to read another poem. If I
Please.
can find the page number 79. This is ew. Oh well, let me read this one since this is one that I can see right now.
You can hold the mic.
Oh yeah, please do. Thank you. Help me with that. All right. This is how can I prove I'm not a robot? Okay. This is a question for our age. I swear I am human, though this machine won't take my word for it. Suspecting I'm a robot, the computer challenges me to prove I am not. It's blocking my access until I pass its reverse Turing test. To demonstrate that I'm truly human, not a robot, I've got to read distorted letters, illegible to crude mechanicals. If I can decode the twisted text according to this technology, I must be looking like a human. Or better yet, I get to check select boxes in photo grids of bicycles, buses, and traffic lights to confirm that I'm a visually able human who can recognize objects in a cluttered landscape, a task I perform daily as a short sighted driver with corrected vision. When I click on the grid, the marginal human on my end trains perfectly real robots on the other end. As I verify my humanity, my unpaid labor aids in teaching enterprising robots to navigate traffic in driverless cars that soon will scan the eyeballs of passengers to authenticate their identity. So that's not even sci-fi because this is every day.
It's true. Those little boxes you check. Okay.
But now they got one that I don't know what it's doing, but it's saying, I'm now verifying that you're human. And then it'll say, okay. I'm thinking, well, what are they doing now? How do they know? I think so. I think they're already scanning my eyeballs while I'm looking at my laptop.
The TV is watching.
Yeah,
Watching what we're
I can't keep up with it. Yeah.
so, so I had this list of poems. Which of any would you like to read?
I was looking for, I think I found it. Land of the Discount. Yeah. Okay. Now, this is one actually that was not written to be part of this book originally. This is an older poem. And
Is it the oldest poem?
it may be the oldest poem in the book because it was published in an anthology by my good poet, Texas friend, Naomi Shihab Nye. She requested a poem from me. We've known each other forever. And we were in artisan schools together in Texas, and that was a long time ago. So she published it in this book about Texas. It was
Mhm.
called Is This Forever or What? You know, she it's a bunch of books that are for young readers, supposedly. So this poem was never published anywhere else, I don't think. It was in that anthology because she asked for a new poem
Right.
and it somehow never got into a book. So I decided, well, I found it and I I put it in this book because I thought it could go in this book.
Uh, Pause for a second. When you say you found it,
You know, sometimes I lose them. You know, I forget about them. Like if
Mhm.
somebody just asks for a poem, you know, for a particular anthology or an issue of a journal or something, and sometimes I'm not able to deliver, but sometimes I'm able to write something that
Right.
seems appropriate and they publish it, and then I kind of forget about it.
Mhm.
So this one came back, you know, for this book because it hadn't been in any of my other books.
Okay.
Oh, there's some poems in Sleeping with a Dictionary that are like that. Like
Right.
there are three poems that were written for family members. So there's a
Mhm.
poem called Kirstenography. My sister's name is Kirsten.
Mhm.
There's a poem called Ask Aiden, one of her sons, my nephew, Aiden, and the other one is called Oh Tis William
Mhm.
for the other nephew, her
Right.
other son. So those three poems, I just, you know, scraped them up and put them in the book.
Okay.
And so,
So usually, and then the poem, but so usually you're not writing a book from cover to cover.
no, 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 never. Well,
Right.
Urban Tumbleweed, well, actually, even no, that wasn't. I mean, at a certain point, it became that,
Mhm.
but it wasn't that. None of them start like that, no.
Mhm.
And then I had this little chapbook called Open Leaves, and it started with like little notes to friends who were in the hospital.
Right.
And I like gave a friend a potted plant and then wrote a little haiku to go with it. So that's how that little book started.
Mhm.
And Urban Tumbleweed was a journal of walking, and didn't know if it would be a book or not. It was just for me at first. Anyway, so this one was, yeah, this is probably the oldest poem in this book because most of these were written more or less during the pandemic. Okay.
Got it.
Yeah, thank you. This is so crazy. Um,
Get you a light from your book.
oh yeah, I don't they have those things that will lighten your page of your book. Yeah, because it's just the shadow makes it hard. Land of the discount price, home of the brand name. Am I getting into the mic? My large magnetic car flag proudly displays Old Glory as I drive to Family Dollar for the makings of a 4th of July picnic. I pledge allegiance to my MasterCard that is honored in more stores than American Express. Oh, beautiful, those spacious aisles stacked high with seasonal items. My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of Lipton instant iced tea. I've clipped a terrific recipe from Sunday's paper. A Betsy Ross rectangular cake covered with strawberries, blueberries, and Cool Whip with a coupon for the Cool Whip. On Independence Day, our All American front porch shows our true colors with patriotic bunting and bows, only $3.99 a yard, regularly $4.99. Our backyard guests relax at our holiday picnic table, thematically decorated with 10-ounce stars and stripes plastic tumblers, matching table runner, paper plates, and napkins from Dixie. As my husband grills the red meat and toasts the white buns under a blue sky, our son shows the neighbor kids his world peacekeepers, patriot soldier, a 12-inch fully posable action figure that plays the national anthem. So just to explain about this poem, she wanted a poem from me. I didn't have anything to send her. I was looking in the newspaper in those little sales flyers. It must have been around 4th of July because all this stuff was in the paper, those advertising sections.
Right.
So I just went down the pages and wrote this poem based on what was in there, what was on sale for the 4th of July weekend. That's where this poem came from. Yeah.
Very patriotic.
This I call it my patriotic poem.
Yeah.
Yeah, because this is America.
Yes.
Hmm.
I mean, it's also something how it's actually the desire, the nature of desire that you're almost mapping out, and it's a killing desire, ultimately.
Well, world peacekeeper, and he's doing the opposite. He's going out
Yes.
there killing people. And the
In the
world
name of
peacekeeper has,
peace.
the doll that they had. This is like a GI Joe doll, and they come with these little uh like scenarios. So one of them is like the urban fighter, and he's in somebody's house. He's like in some house in the Middle East, and I mean they have like cardboard house that he's invading. The world peacekeeper, patriot soldier, and he does play the national anthem. I mean
Wow.
that was the toy. That was the toy at the time. So if y'all could find that exact doll, you know exactly what year this poem was made.
Well, there is a comic figure, the
Hmm.
Peacemaker.
Hmm.
Peacemaker?
That was what
Yeah.
John Wayne called his gun in some cowboy movie.
Yeah, there's
That's how
also
they pacified the West.
there's one photo from the Peacemaker.
Okay. See, I don't know.
I kill any man, woman, or child in the name of peace.
That's that's what we do.
What we do.
Yeah.
Okay. So, where are we for time?
Q and A. Is it Q and A
Q&A.
time? I'm happy to do that.
Set.
Oh yes.
And then I
We
will
share
run around
this.
the room.
I have questions for you, Tanya.
I mean,
Yes, she's happy to answer any questions you might have for another poet here, Tanya.
Yeah, we got one.
Hi, I want to ask you to go back to if I understood correctly, you wake up with lines and they may be in iambic pentameter.
So, or at least in iambic foot. Yes.
So can you just talk about
I don't know why.
what you don't and what do you make of that? And then do you
I
keep
write it down and say, "Ooh, I could put that in a poem someday."
do you keep that meter or do you change that meter? Could you just talk
In
to me a
those
little?
two lines, I mean,
Yeah.
I cite those two lines because they're easy to remember, and they were so iambic. And I did I'm using them in these poems that I'm writing now. Yeah,
Do you have a consciousness of meter in other lines or is it only when they
no,
sort of
it's
come out that way?
accidental. It's accidental, and I something is happening in my REM sleep, or I don't know what, but I woke up with, my teeth were made to tear your tender flesh. And I said, oh, that's the wolf talking to the lamb. And then when I had other one, can blades of grass defend a meadow? And I said, oh, that's about the wolf and the sheep. Also, I got the wolf and the sheep in my mind. I'm thinking of, I probably am dreaming about them. And so, these lines were probably, being written as I slept, because I was falling asleep thinking about Blake and his, he has the peaceable kingdom in mind, the lions and lambs lying down together, and the wolves don't eat the sheep because the wolves have been converted to vegetarianism, you know, right? But it's the vegans who are violent in the Old Testament. Because I actually misremembered it. I had originally written that poem. I had said Cain, the carnivore Cain, and it was alliterative. I said, okay, carnivore Cain killed the vegan Abel, and I said, wait a minute, let me check that Old Testament. I got my Bible out and I said, oh, wait a minute, that's backward. So I had to correct that. Yeah. Okay.
And so
I might be singing in my sleep. I do sing in my sleep sometimes. Yeah. Okay. Doesn't that happen to you sometimes? You wake up and you have a line that's iambic or trochaic or whatever. A line that is in a meter when you wake up. That can happen.
Hi, I have a follow-up question to
Oh,
that because you
yes.
keep talking about you have these lines.
Mhm.
Do you remember your dreams and do you take your dreams and then translate them into words?
Unfortunately, my dreams are mostly very boring. So at one time I kept a dream journal, and I think keeping a dream journal is probably a good idea because they got more interesting as I kept a journal. But normally they're very, very boring. Like I was telling my students one time about metaphor in your dreams. And I said, I had this dream. I was walking up a flight of stairs and a bird kind of dive bombed me. And I looked up and then there was an airplane. And I woke up and I said, oh, I forgot to book my flight. So a flight of stairs, a flight of a bird, and a flight of an airplane. And oh, literally airplane. Get up and book your flight before the tickets get to be too expensive. So my dreams are kind of utilitarian like that. But it was metaphor. It was metaphor, very literal. Wake up. But I do tell my students it's a good thing to write your dreams. At least try it, and see, because a lot of people will say, oh, I don't dream. But yeah, you are dreaming. You're just not remembering them. There's somebody over here.
Yeah.
Hi, thank you, Professor Foster and Professor Mullen.
Thank you.
I was spooked by the moment when you started illuminating your poems with a flashlight. Uh, no, no, because I know your David Hammond's work, Concerto in Black and Blue,
Yeah.
where it's an empty, dark space.
Yes. Not the
Yeah,
Ace Gallery, but they have
at
redone it.
Hazard,
Los Angeles Hazard North Gallery.
right?
And I was part of the conversation about that with Darby
Darby
English.
English. Yeah. Um, but also the frontis image of Recyclopedia is Hammond's Blue Train,
Yes.
uh, After Coltrane.
With the wine bottles
Yes,
in a circle.
and
Yeah.
he has said that he created this work because he wanted to do something with something that he knew a black person had put their lips on.
Yeah.
And so I'm wondering, how do you put a lip on a cloud?
Well, in the case of that poem, I guess it's touching my lips as I as I read it aloud,
Mm.
maybe, you know. Um, I'm thinking about, isn't there an Elizabeth Taylor movie where she's like putting her red lipstick on something, it's like leaving her mark? It may be one, you know, she always played these kind of lost women that were kind of fallen women. Butterfield 8, I think is the one where it's like she leaves her lipstick print, or she writes, "I'm not for sale" on the mirror. She's been in the hotel room with this married man, and he's trying to leave her some money on the table, like she's just a common, you know what? And she writes in her red lipstick on the mirror, "I'm not for sale." I think, yeah. Anyway, that's off the subject. But I appreciate the question. What did you have in mind when you wrote that question? I mean, when you spoke that question, you had something in mind.
Not necessarily. I feel like for maybe educators, the question of AI comes down to some uh
It's disembodied. So
absolute
lips are part
but
of
in the
us.
classroom it's like um w- what to do with how irresistible plagiarism can be.
Mhm.
Um and
We don't need AI for that.
absolutely not. And I
Yeah.
think it can be done so deliciously, like the uncooked kale. Um well, I guess
Yeah.
for me.
Mhm.
And so it's just something I've been wrestling with.
Yeah. Have it written in my syllabus. You are smarter than a robot.
Mm,
You are more creative than AI. Trust your own, your own ability
mm,
to make something, you know, read, think, share.
mm,
That's all I'm asking. I'm not saying you have to have an essay that looks like a robot wrote it, or whatever. That's not what it's about.
mm,
It sort of misses the point.
mm.
Thank you.
I, I disavow
Tonya, we
oh,
can't hear you.
I disavow mastery in the class. That I'm interested in expertise. I'm not interested in mastery. And that expertise allows for me, like the human with the flesh, with the body, you get all the messiness, all of the inaccuracy, all of the mistakes that are glorious revelations, right? It's kind of a way, I think, of autocorrect, right? I was trying to write decommendation. This person sent me a letter of decommendation, and autocorrect kept changing it to recommendation. And I thought, so this is auto miscorrect.
Right.
And that it is trying to standardize thinking and thought. So I'm not interested in being standardized. One, because I can't.
It's just predicting.
It's predicting, but then also forcing us to inhabit those predictions or those restrictions, those predictive notions as if they were real or natural. They ain't. And so that's what I say about AI. I'm like, okay, if you want to do it, but how boring are you?
In a funny kind of way, this relates to the AI chatter right now. When I worked in Oakland, I worked with a group of called Kingmakers of Oakland, and they were basically a cultural mentorship program for Black and Brown boys, high school age, and they have a whole course called AI Ancestor Intelligence. So they're just like doing the narrative shift. They said, fuck that other AI. What is that? What is that dream telling you? Oh, is a form of ancestor intelligence in some way. So I just get brisky when I hear that cage of artificial intelligence. Anyway, enough of me.
It's artificial, but it's not intelligent. It's the BS
Anyone
machine.
else?
BS machine. Are we done?
Time to sign books.
I'll be happy to sign it.
Going once, going twice. Oh, thank you all for coming.
Thanks a lot.